Okay, Boker Tov. Today's daf is daf Aleph, and we are continuing the whole discussion about learning out that the four applications of the blood of the chatas are ma'akev, like are all necessary, and then also of the chatat pnimit, thank you, of the inner chatat, and also the 7 applications that are done on the parochet, and then applying that to Yom Kippur and applying that to the goats of Avodah Zarah, all of these inner chataot. I think what I just circled this because I forgot to mention yesterday. I was doing it that when we're talking about the ways in which the par and the ox and goat of Yom Kippur are different, in addition to the fact that they've got the that they have the kaporet here, that you have it on the top of the the cover of the aron, the 7+1. The parochet is the same, that it's 7+1, but the 7 is the same, but the +1 is actually different. In normal, there's just 7, and the other thing that's different here is the 7 on the roof of the mizbeach. So normal chatas has 7 on the parochet and 4 on the horns, and inner chatas, and this has 7+1, 7+1, 7 on the roof, etc. Anyway, okay, so that's the various things that we were learning out. And one of the recent things that we were learning out was the issue of this word of this whole thing that lapar here comes to teach that the same halachos apply by Yom Kippur, and that same halachos would be like that all of these applications are ma'akev, or the same halachos might be that this esbidamu b'tvila, these special things about how the dipping is done, and so on, and that was one position to learn out from the word par, and then you had a very weird kal v'chomer of Rabbi Yishmael, I think it was Rabbi Yishmael, who basically said, well, since there's some overlap here and here between this ox and this goat, this cow and this goat, so then this cow and this cow, certainly there's going to be an overlap, and certainly that's going to tell us to apply all the stuff that we don't know yet. So anyway, that was some very strange kal v'chomer. Anyway, let's move on. So that's sort of where we left off. So the Gemara says like this. Amar Papa. We just did that. Okay. Lapar. Zepar halam davar shel tzibur. Okay. Now, the other thing, therefore, they said is that if Lapar was not coming to teach that these things like Esbidam Mutvila, whatever it is, applies by the Yom Kippur thing, if that's not what it was coming to do, what do you do with this word lapar? So what Rabbi Yishmael says you do with this word lapar is coming to tell me, oh, this ox, par helam davar shel tzibur. It's like, wait, why do you need it to tell me this ox? We're talking about this ox. And the lamed is coming to tell me par kol mashiach. So for Rabbi Yishmael, the par lapar here is not coming to teach to Yom Kippur, it's coming to somehow merge these two or link these two. But for what purpose? So that's what the Gemara is going to ask. Okay? So okay. Lapar is the par helam davar shel tzibur. Habit tzibur gufek. See, what do you mean? Oh, this comes to include the par helam davar shel tzibur. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's the context. So Amar of Papa, mishum debaya gmurei par helam davar shel tzibur biyoteres v'shtei chayot l'siirei avodas kol chavim. Okay, because here one of the things that we want to now do is say that the idea that you need the lobe of the liver and the 2 kidneys, and that's part of the emurim that's offered on the mizbeach. So that's not written here. It's not written. It's only written by the par kol mashiach. That's what that's written. So another thing that's only written up here, the yoteret plus the shtei haklayot, that's part of what's offered up as the emurim. Okay, and we want to apply the halacha over here to seirei avodah zarah. All right. So how are we going to get it to apply to seirei avodah zarah? So let's take a look. The basic way we're going to get it to apply is through somehow par helam davar shel tzibur. But you can't, as we just taught yesterday, if you learn something through one derivation, you can't then go and turn it over and apply it somewhere else. So we have to somehow implicitly get this as if it's written down here. And if it's as if it's written down here, that's going to allow us to then teach to the goat of Avodah Zarah. All very complicated.
We always have to put emurim on these veils.
Yes, but it never mentioned. Yeah, but it never specifically mentioned those two. Okay, in the other context. So, Amar Papa, mishum debaya gmurei par helam davar shel tzibur biyoteres v'shtei chayot l'siirei avodas kol chavim. We want this to teach that the inner chatas of Avodah Zarah also has those two, and that's not par helam davar shel tzibur begufei lo ksiv. And it's not written explicitly. You only learn it because it's linked to the power of the Kohen Mashiach. Well, that's what it's going to link by the par la par. Itzrich la par. So normally it would just link because it's juxtaposing. That's out of the pasuk. Vasar kasher asa. But somehow the understanding that this word la par is extra allows us to say it's not just linked. Since this word la par is written here, it's like it's saying everything about that cow is written. It's not just learned from. It's right here and it's being said in this parsha as well. And therefore, since it's explicit in this parsha, now we can export it. Okay, so it should be like it's written in the thing itself. And not to be something that because you learned it one link, you can't now export it in another link. Okay, that was all very nice and complicated. And what we haven't even said yet was how do we even know to apply, or what's the basis of applying this stuff to the Sirei Avodah Zarah? Yesterday we sort of talked about some way in which we applied it, right? We had some hekesh and then it went back or whatever, but we have yet to say that explicitly, okay? So we want to get this stuff to apply to the goats of Avodah Zarah. That's our third category in addition to the Yom Kippur stuff, which is also in the Nerchatos. And so we got to get like stuff here so we can make the link, but we haven't yet spelled out what that link is, how we're actually going to do that. Okay, so that's actually a little bit to what we transition to right now. So the Gemara says like this. Tani Kavasi to Rav Papa. We taught like Rav Papa, meaning Rav Papa's basic idea that we learn out things like, let me just check Rashi what exactly the Tani Kavasi is. I guess that we link it to we link the two, Sirei Avodah Zarah to this, and we learn the things out from to Sirei Avodah Zarah. So we taught like Rav Papa, okay? Because it says Vasa kasher asa. Ma Talmud lomar lapar. What's lapar doing? L'fi shenema v'hem mivios korbanami shel Hashem. That's by the Sirei Avodah Zarah v'eschatasam. Okay, let's actually read that pasuk. Where were we? Chesishku Tetzvav Chafei. Chesishku v'lo sasu es mikom tzasa eila shediver Hashem Moshe. So kol mitzvot is understood to mean Avodah Zarah. Es kol asher tzivah Hashem lechavia Moshe. Vayem minei adan nasalish kagag. Excuse me. That's first par helam davar shel tzibur. Wait a minute. No, it's par helam davar shel tzibur of Avodah Zarah. Okay, that's a separate korban that the tzibur brings, and then you have the individual doing avodah zarah. You never shachas techsta b'shagav ikriv eis bas shnasa leola. Okay, v'chiper kohen al never shashoges b'chata b'shagav. But never shachas etc. 1 minute. Hold on, where am I? Okay. Oh, so this actually is right. Hold on.
Funny to hear they're citing kafeh.
Yeah. So this is actually it's Sirei Avodah Zarah, but it's actually the case of Sirei Avodah Zarah. It is of Helam Tzibur, of Helam Beitin, because it's when it's a subset or not a subset, but whatever, a parallel case of Par Helam Davar Shel Tzibur Folios. So it is that you bring actually a part here for an Ola, but the Seir is for the Chatos. Okay, so this is actually an inner Chatos. It's Avodah Zarah, but it's Avodah Zarah when based in Paskins incorrectly. And the pasuk says like this.
As opposed to them posking just a regular.
And that's regular people sitting, right? Okay, and that's the next parsha there, which is also a seir, but that's not the one we're focusing on. Okay, so here it says, okay, seir izim echad lechatas. Chiper kohen lekol adas b'nei yisrael v'nislach lehem ki shkagahi v'heim heviu et korbanam. Ishel Hashem Chatatam Lifnei Hashem al Shivasim Lifnei Hashem al Shivigatam. And the interesting thing here is nowhere does it say that this is an inner chatos. So here's the real point. Whereas here we know it's an inner chatos and we're reading about details. Is it ma'ake by Yom Kippur? Do you have taval, etzba'o, dam, etc.? Here it just sounds like it's a normal chatas. But Chazal probably assumed that since it was a chatas of the tzibur, because if you think about this, right, the common denominator here is You don't have an individual chatas that's an inner chatas. The common denominator here is that these are all chataot of the tzibur. Now you do have a chatas of a tzibur that's an outer one, like the normal seir lechatas that's brought on every regel. Okay, but certainly you do have a chata. All of these, the common denominator. I mean, you could say the par, but it's the kohen gadol's specific one. The par kohen mashiach is also a par of a kohen gadol. But nevertheless, par of a kohen gadol it's a little more than just any lay individual. Okay, so Chazal understand it, though here it just says it's a chatos. But one of the things that you have to appreciate is going on here, that get lost in all of these details, is that the pshat here does not indicate at all that it's an inner chatos. And that's part of what we're saying. Okay, so anyways, let's take a look. So Rav Papa just said one of the reasons we need lapar here is in order to apply some of these halachot to this. But now let's take a look at how that's being done in this Breita. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay. Where were we? Tell me what's your papa. Matam lapar. Chatasam elusiye v'ruskochavi. Shigasam zeparhem davashel tzipor. Okay, so al chatasam. This is what we're talking about. This is your seir avodah zarah. Tosos what says? Why is it plural? Seirei avodah zarah. Anyway, al shigatam is your par helam davar of tzibur there. And again, remember, par helam davar. This is seir avodah zarah on helam davar. Let's not lose sight of that. That's also part of what compels making the comparison. So this too links this case of the seir of Helam Davar of Avodah Zarah to the par of Helam Davar, and that lets us import, everything from here to there. That's what we said before. We wanted to get the Yoteres and Shtei Klayos and par Helam Davar because we're going to be exporting all this stuff.
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this self-referential? You just said
yes, it is
Chatatam is Avodah Zarah, Helam Davar, which is what we're talking about here.
Yes, this Chatatam that we're talking about here is compared to the par Helam Davar that we're talking about over there. They're both Helam Davar. This is et cetera, et cetera. So therefore, they're being linked.
How?
And that by this pasuk.
For what? What purpose? I mean, how?
Because we don't know anything about this. We don't know that it's an inner chatos. We don't know what's ma'ake. We know nothing about how to do this chatos. So this link allows us to export all of that stuff. And the whole lapar here is to include in that export the issue of the Yoteres and the Shtei HaKlayot. Okay, so so Zepar Helam Davar Shel Tzipur Chatatamo Shigasam Amar Torah Chatasam Harei Lecha Kishigasam. Okay, so this chatat, this chatas is like this shigasam, is like all the stuff we did over there by the par Helam Davar Shel Tzibur. Shigasam heichan lamadata lo behekeisha. But 1 minute, how do we know that this shigasam? How do we know this stuff here? The et bedamu, the tvila, the yoteres shtei klayos. How do you know it all applies over here? It's a hekesh. So now we got a problem. You can't export all of it. Okay? Why
not?
Okay, because that's one of the principles we have by Kakshim, that you can't export something if you learned it from somewhere else. Talmud Lomar, Lapar, Zepar Helam Davar Shel Tzibur, Lapar, Zepar Kohen Mashiach. Okay, so that's what I said to you. Well, this pasuk is going to allow us to import everything from here, to link this Seir Avodah Zarah of Helam Davar of Tzibur to the par Helam Davar. This says almost nothing. In this case, this is going to allow us to import all this stuff. Before we import this, we want to get everything into the package. So we're going to use the lapar to sort of package it all together. Okay? Okay, now let's get back. So let's now look at what we just said. Amar ma. Chatasam elu sirei avodas kochavim. Typically mikra kama. Damar mar hachatas rabba sirei avodas kochavim. So now we've got a problem. Mikra kama is not over here. Where it says, wait a minute, why do we need this to be the vehicle to import all this stuff? Over here, it says, we used, right? Remember, we used asa, kasher, asa, 7 plus 4, etc. Okay, lapar is this category of Yom Kippur, but then we said hachatat gives us the third category of, Seirei Avodah Zarah. So basically, now we can appreciate. By the way, now we can appreciate, what was going on here, because basically here you have in high detail what you do with an inner chatos by the par Kohen Mashiach and the par Helam Davar Shel Tzibur. Okay, here by par Yom Kippur you have a lot of detail, and actually some stuff is more, but you don't have all of the detail. And here you have nothing. And Chazal basically understood, look, it's a chatas of the tzibor. It's just like a par helam davar. It's just about a vodazara. In any way, it's worse. So obviously, it assumes this stuff has to apply over here. How are we going to do it? So it did it with these two words. Okay, vasa kasher asakin yaseh was all to tell me it's ma'akev. And these two words, lapar exports it to Yom Kippur, and chatat exports it to the Seir Avodah Zarah of the Seirei Avodah Zarah. Okay, so that's now we can step back and appreciate, what was being done, big picture. Now the question is, what is making the link from Par Helam Davar to this Seirei Avodah Zarah of the Tzibor? Is it this word hachatas here by Par Helam Davar, or is it chatatam al shigasam here by Seirei Avodah Zarah? That's the only question right now. So let's take a look.
So you don't need to actually have like a Xera Shava. You just need to it's sort of like a reboy. Is that what we're saying? It's not actually linked.
I was thinking
right. It's not linked by the same word. It's linked. Yeah, somehow the reboy, the extra word is telling you. Well, part of the point though is you have to understand is that, and this happens in some other places too. Like we have it by the Shivas Himeam Yiluin, where it says Vas Kasher Asaba Yom Hazeh Tzivah Hashem Lasot Shechaper Lechem, right? By the 7 days of preparation. So Tzivah Hashem Lasot Elu Yom Kippur, where we have the 7 days of preparation for Yom Kippur. Or Lasot, I think, means like Maseh Para, 7 days to prepare for Paraduma. Shechaper Lechem Elu Maseh Elu Yom Kippur. So if a pasuk is explicitly saying, do this in case X. Now, in both of them, what's similar to the example I just gave you in this, both of them, the pshat is do this here. But because it says it in a verbose way, we say, no, what it's actually saying is do this also in these other related cases. So I don't even know if this falls into one of the classic Yud Gimel Midot, because what we're really saying is, look, it's not a reboy, it's not a hekage, it's not a Xerushav, it's saying, do this, two other things. Do what we're doing here to the par and to the chatos. Now, of course, for us, it's not pshat, okay, but it's not like an extra word, an extra letter, a Zeir Shava. We're saying the verse is saying, do this in these cases. We're telling you what these cases means is Yom Kippur and, Seirei Avodah Zarah. All right, so anyway, it's a good question, like what exactly is the technical, hermeneutic principle? Anyway, now the question is it the lapar here that's exporting it, or is it the chatatam shigatam? Okay, this is more of a hekage. This is not saying do this like you did it. This is just saying these two are similar. Okay, so it says like this. Amar chatasam elu sirei avodas kochavim typically mikrakama. Amar hachatas rabba sirei avodas kochavim. Amar Rav Papa itzrin. Sa'atak kamina hanimili hazaot t'chsivei begufei. This is sort of things that we sort of have said before. Okay, that maybe, and this sort of gets back to our other point. This idea that you apply all of this, maybe that's the stuff that's explicit here. What's explicit here? What's explicit here is all of the blood work. Okay? What's not explicit here is the stuff that we learn out from up there. What's not explicit here is the, taval et gdam and the yoter de b'shtei klayot. So that's why, right, the lapar here is not, that's so okay. So aval, Yoteres v'shtei klayos to lo ksivei bigufei emalo. Maybe that we can't learn chamash malon, that actually is going to be learned. So now it's not exactly clear whether we do it from the lapar point. But anyway, if it were just the hachatas here, I would have just applied the blood stuff. The extra pasuk, which fully links them, is sort of saying apply it also to the stuff that's not explicit here, but that you learned that not explicit in Par Helam Davar, but that you learned from Par Kohen Ashliach. Which here the Gemara is saying is the Yoseres from the Shtei Klayos, but based on yesterday, you could also have said it's Taval et and Bedam. Now, the only thing is, the difference though of what we said a minute ago, so what it's saying is, you need to sort of learn out the whole package. The difference here is that here it's saying the way we're doing it is because of this Chatatam Gatam, whereas a minute ago we said the way we're doing it was through the word of Lapar, that the word of Lapar packaged it all together. Okay, but the difference might be that this was a Rabbi Yishmael drasha. Okay, even what it's showing is, we need to package this stuff down here. For Rabbi Yishmael, we do it maybe with the word lapar, right? Remember, because he didn't need this for Yom Kippur, so lapar packages this all together. And for the non-Rabbi Yishmael, we do it from this extra dasha of chatatam shikatam. Okay, but that's the basic idea. We package it all together and then we export it, like putting together a list for Eretz Yisrael.
The Rabbi Yishmael we got this from, is that the same Rabbi Yishmael for the 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to fit that into that.
Go for it. Okay. I relate Rav Huna Braid Rav Nasan Rav Papa. Vatana Par Yom Kippur L'chol Mashamar B'Inyan Kamar. But 1 minute. Okay. But the Tana says, now I got it. There's a whole debate of Rashi tells us how to read this. So let me just remind myself. Check how Tosos is reading this. Okay, so the way he reads it is the following. When we said, this is so technical, let's just get through this, okay? But as if it weren't technical until now. But here's his problem. You said you needed this extra chatatam al shigatam in order to import the yoter and the shtei haklayot. He says, but 1 minute. When we learned out this stuff to Yom Kippur, we did it from the word of lapar. Right? Remember, that's how we learned this out for Yom Kippur. Mm-hmm. Nobody ever told us we needed something extra to export this stuff to Yom Kippur to include like taval, et, and bidam, or the yoter shtei haklayot, right? That wasn't written in this thing itself, but somehow lapar was enough to say just export everything, okay, right? Because when we did Yom Kippur, we didn't need some extra drasha for this stuff. So if lapar was enough to export everything, chatat should be enough to export everything. And why do you need an additional drasha over here to get all this extra stuff? Okay?
I mean, why do you need that other pasuk?
Chatatam al shigatam. Right. So if lapar could export everything to Yom Kippur, even the stuff that's not explicit here, then chatat should be able to export everything to Seirei Avodah Zarah, even without an extra pasuk. Okay. Amalei Rav Huna Braid Rav Nasan Rav Papa. Vatana par Yom Kippur l'chol masha amar b'inyan kamar. But the Tana said that lapar tells you everything applies to the case of Yom Kippur. You didn't need an extra pasuk. So how come you're explaining here that you needed a chatatam al shigasam to package it all together? Just learn it all from the extra word chatat. So Gemara says, Tanaihi, you're right. It's a debate of Tanaim, whether you need an extra word or pasuk or whatever to package it all together. Tana debate Rabbi Marbi Hachi, Tana debate Rabbi Shmuel, Lo Marbi Hachi. The Tana of Rabbi Shmuel, this is sort of what I was saying before, that needed the lapar to like pull all the stuff down and so on. And he is the one that needed this extra stuff to be packaged together and to be exported. The earlier Tana, which was a Tana Debei Rebbe, which said l'chol masha amar b'inyan here, he doesn't need an extra thing to package it all together.
What does he do with the extra thing?
I don't know. I'm just getting through this at this stage. Okay, anyway. Tana Debei Rebbe Shmuel lo amar b'hachi. Tana Debei Rebbe Shmuel ne'ma nemru shtei chayos so b'par. Okay, fine. Period. We are now done. Okay, take a breath. The basic point is the upshot of all of this is the extra things that are here, your tarish, they have klayot, taval, whatever, they're linked. They apply to par helam davar. The vaser asaka sherasa says the 7 and the 4 are ma'akev. The chiper says the shirayim and the smich are not ma'akev. Lapar applies all of this to Yom Kippur. And chatat applies all of this to Seirei Avodah Zarah. That is the basic thing, okay? And some of the extra words, you needed maybe to package some of this stuff together because of Davar Lamed Behekes is not closing Lamed Behekes. The one thing, by the way, I should say that is still debated, that we didn't discuss, is the possibility that on Yom Kippur, the Shirayim is Ma'akev, okay? So here the Shirayim is not Ma'akev. Actually, there's some discussion about that. There's actually some discussion about the inner Chatos as well. Some Shitot that the Shvichas Shirayim. So although here we're saying Shirayim is not Ma'akev, you should just be aware that to some degree, there is some debate around that. Okay, now we can take a breath. Now it gets a little bit, we get a sort of a little bonus agadita for having us, sort of soldiered through that. Okay, or agadic-ish. Okay, Tana debate Rabbi Shmuel. Name on never Yosef Shtei Chayos B'Parko Mashiach. Lo never Parhelim Davar Shel Tzibur. Why, if it's going to repeat everything, the Parhelim Davar Shel Tzibur, why is the one thing that didn't get repeated this issue about the about the emurim, the specifics about the emurim, the lobe of the liver and the 2 kidneys? Mashal Melech Basar Adam Shazam Alo Havo. It's like when a human king gets angry on somebody he loves, so he's not going to go on and on and on in heavy detail because he wants to sort of make more, when he's sort of listing the punishment or whatever it is, because he wants to, save him from the disgrace to that degree. So basically, it's interesting. Who's the Ohavo here, right? You would have thought that the Ohavo maybe is the Kohen Mashiach. This is an interesting statement. No, this is the tzibur, or if you want, the beis din that represents the tzibur. Okay, so so anyway, so the short is, so because this represents all of Klal Yisrael, we're going to not say the full detail. It's still a pretty long parsha here. Okay, but we're not going to say every little last detail. Okay. Now, B'tanas B'Rabbi Shmuel, another teaching by Rabbi Shmuel. When it says you sprinkle it on the parochet, here it says B'nei Parochas HaKodesh, and this just says parochet. It doesn't have the word kodesh. Okay, so Mashal Melech Basar V'Dam Shesarcha Alav Medina. So a country rebelled against him. If only a minority of that country rebelled against him. Obviously, they're drawing on Roman history, where Rome had to deal with putting down rebellions of its various provinces and so on, not just Judea. Anyway, so if only the minority of it rebelled, Pamalia Shalom Mitkayemet. His pamaya, his retinue, is still established. He doesn't undermine his general supporters that he has, but imruba sarcha. But if the majority of the country is rebelling against him, then ein pamaya shalom mitkayemes. He loses, his inner circle of supporters. And pamaya, obviously the word family. It's a word that the Chazal use to sort of speak about pamaya shamala, the divine heavenly retinue, so God's, holy, all the angels or whatever it is, that it's there as part of God's retinue. Anyway, so the point is that here, okay, the Kohen Gadol sinned, but it's still the holy parochet. When the tzibur sins, it's as if the holiness of the parochas has gone away. It's as if it even undermines, it's not just their sin, it somehow undermines, God's presence and God's sanctity in this world because of that. And there's even a sense that has lost its holiness. So even in the inner sanctum of God's place, if you would, in God's palace, right, some of the kedusha has gone away because the tzibur has sinned. Okay.
Wow.
We are now
to do a lot with that one.
Yeah, we are now moving on. Okay, lefikach. All right, I'm going to erase all of this just to prove that we are totally done with this. All of that was to tell you, was started with the idea that on the inner chataot you need the 4 applications of blood, and they're all ma'akev, plus the 7, and that applies to all of these other inner chataot, even the spirei avodah zarah that are themselves not explicit, but they're an inner chatas. And now what we are doing is getting to one of the halachot about the 4 applications, since they're all ma'akev, and that is, of course, because everything the nafkamina is for people. Okay, so once we get through the fact that you need to do all 4, and if not, the korban isn't good, the Mishnah goes on to say what the implication is for pigul. And the implication for pigul is that if you did one of them with a pigul thought and the others with non-pigul thoughts, okay, then it's still kosher because you did not have a pigul thought through the entire act. The entire act constitutes all 4 applications, actually 4 plus 7. Okay, and this is the principle, and I love this phrase because it's just so terse, and it's like one of the most, a combination of some of the most obscure things that we're learning. Right, exactly. Ein mefaglin b'chatzi matir. Okay, which means you cannot create pigul if you're doing it only on something that's a partial part of that stage. Okay, so you do pigul by shchita, holacha, kabbalah, and srika. So what if you only did it during half of that stage? By shchita, you can have half because you can shech, one of the, the trachea, not the esophagus. You could say by holacha you have half because you could walk half the distance, but that's not considered half because those are not discrete stages, discrete pieces. Okay, that's just quantitative. Okay, or whatever, but it's just not discrete. But the other case is by the application of the 4 corners of the blood. Normally, by the other things, 1 application is a ma'akev. So beyond that, since it's not necessary, you can create pigul. But here, if you have to do all 4 corners of the inner chatos and 7, then if your pigul is only part of that, you don't create pigul. Okay, so that's what the Mishnah says. So let's take a look at the Gemara. It's non-hasam. We taught over in Menachos. Piga b'komitz v'lo b'levona Here's another case of a chatzi matir. What's offered up by the mincha? The hand breath plus the frankincense. So if you had a pigul thought by the komets and not the levona, but levona below the komets, or the reverse, Rabbi Meir Omer pigul v'chayav in alav kares. Rabbi Meir says it's pigul. Presumably, we're going to discuss this in a minute. Rabbi Meir holds mefaglin b'chatzi matir. Okay, v'chalumom ein bo kares. No, it's no kares. Achi yifagel b'chol hamatir. There's the phrase, you have to have pigul by all of the stages of this, all of the parts of this one stage. Now, by the way, as Tosfos points out, the pshat of those is that for the chachamim, it is pasul. It's just not pigul. But Tosfos points to another Gemara that applies that it's actually not pasul if you just do a chatzi matir. Tosfos actually says that if it's pasul, it's only pasul rabbinically. So that's a side point. For the rabbis, if you had pigul for the trachea, not the esophagus, for the chometz and not the levona, for one of the four inner corners and not the others, it's pus. For Rabbi Meir, it's pigul. For the chachamim, it's pasul. But for Tosfos, it's only pasul midrabanan. So just an interesting parenthetical one. Yeah. I don't know
because again, it's sort of like a chatzi matir. Is that it?
It is a chatzi matir. What do you mean?
No, meaning just like trachea as opposed to the esophagus.
Yeah. This is exactly the chatzi matir. The question is, what happens when you, if pigul doesn't get created by chatzi matir, does anything happen? Does it invalidate the korban? Okay, so the implication here is yes, but Tosfos says that's only rabbinic.
So we'd also have to think chus lizman on both of them, or is this
yes? Yeah.
I mean chus limakom on both of them.
Yeah.
To be pasul chatzi.
No, to be pasul doraita. Yeah. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. Lo tema time to Rabbi Meir to kasaver mefaglim b'chatzi matir, which is of course the simplest thing to say about Rabbi Meir. Don't think that's his principle. That if you do by chatzi matir, al hacham b'layaskina Rabbi Meir when he says it's pigul, he really agrees that you need to be mefaga b'chol hamatir. And he's only talking about a specific case where it works to do it only at one of the stages. He goes, that you did the first stage. Rashi says it doesn't really matter whether it's the kometz or the lavona, but the first thing you did it with a pigul thought, and the next thing you did it with a silence, with no pigul thought. And it's not because it works sufficiently to do it by chatzi matir, but it's that the kasavar kol ose al das rishona hu ose. If you start a process with that thought defines the rest of the process unless you actively redefine it. So for Rabbi Meir, he says, if you had the thought during the second stage, during the application of, the levon, if it came after the kometz, if you had it during corners number 2 or number 3 or number 4, but corner number 1 was not a pigul thought, you're safe. You did not have the thought for all 4. Rabbi Meir needs the pigul thought for all of the components, but he just says if it's your first thought, it defines the rest unless you actively redefine it. Now, before we continue to analyze that, little digression here, important point that Rashi makes, it says come up in the past. What the word the Gemara uses to frame that you're not having a pigul thought is shtika, silence, okay, which suggests that the pigul thought is an articulated one. Okay, so it doesn't say beli machsheves pigul. Now maybe it's a shorthand, but if you look at Rashi, this is a long-standing discussion that Rashi and Tosfos have, going way back to the first Mishnah about a thought of shelo lishmo. Does the thinking that invalidates korbanot, does it have to be articulated or not? So if you just take a 1 minute to read this in Rashi, where Rashi says, here's Rashi, okay, b'machshava. So Rashi says, the chol machshava. The first one in the Rashi is machshava. It is about, it's almost, you see where it says the line ends b'chatzi matir in the Gemara that we just read? The line that ends with the word chatzi matir in the Gemara. So if you go right across from that in the Rashi, you see Rashi says, he says, machshava dekachim, go across that and down one line. Machshava dekachim motzi b'pehu. When we talk about thought during korbanot, we mean articulated thought. Okay? So I just want you to see that those 4 words in Rashi, those 5 words. Okay, which he picks up on the fact that the Gemara says shtika. It's a similar point that Tosfos makes. Never said explicitly in the Gemara. It's only an unarticulated thought in the Gemara. Anyway, but Rashi and Tosfos may both say, based on this and other considerations, that machshava means articulated. Anyway, back to the Gemara.
So either the rabbis can...
David?
Yeah, could you say that this is like similar to chazaka with like tuma and tahara, like anida, when I've been happen to be reading like Mishnah Nida right now. So this idea of like, if she was
you need something to actively change the status. Right. It's similar. It's a little different. Chazakah is like a status, and a status creates a threshold of either proof or whatever that you need, presumptions that it remains until you change it.
Right.
So you're right. This sort of, it's similar. I don't know if I would have defined it as a chazaka. I more would have sort of said that, the act is defined by its beginning unless it's actively redefined. But it is similar that once something gets a certain type of an identity, it creates a higher threshold, like that sticks with it, and it requires some more active thing to change that identity. So there is definitely some parallel there, yeah.
But according to Rameir, everyone would agree, right? Even if you hold Mefaglim B'Chatzi Matir, that's the first one, right?
That's what the Gemara is saying. No, if you hold Mefaglim B'Chatzi Matir, it could be anyone.
Okay.
So what we're saying is Rameir doesn't hold Mefaglim B'Chatzi Matir. He needs that you have to have Pigul B'Chol Matir. But if you do it at the beginning, it's defined as you have it for the whole thing.
Right, which means that if you just did,
if you did it in the middle, it doesn't make Pigul. That's exactly his point. Okay. Now the Gemara says Mimai. What makes you say that? That for Rameir it's only because that was your first machshava. Okay, because our Mishnah is not clear whether it holds like Rebbe Meir or not. Our Mishnah says, since you have these 4 applications of blood on the inner chatas that are ma'akev, therefore, if you did all of them properly and one of them improperly, okay, it is not pigul, but it is pasul. Okay, so the Gemara, he says, he's going to read that Mishnah as the order matters. So the Mishnah said if you did all of them, meaning the way he's reading the Mishnah, the first 3 properly, and the last one improperly, then it is pasul but not pigul. So he says, 1 minute. Maybe that suggests that if the order were reversed, if the first one were pigul, and the rest were proper without any thought, pigul, it would be pigul. So Mani, who is this going like? If it's Rabbanan, for the rabbis, it doesn't matter. If it's a pigul thought for only one of them, then it doesn't make it. So that the Mishnah should have been clearer that for the rabbis, that order doesn't matter. If it were going like the rabbis, and it should have said, no matter which one you have a pigul thought, it's not pigul until you have a thought for all 4 of them. Okay, or something like that. The Mishnah, his way of reading the Mishnah, I'm not so convinced that that's necessarily indicated in the Mishnah, but his way of reading of the Mishnah is that the order matters. So for the rabbis, the order doesn't matter. It's never pigul, no matter when you have that thought, unless it's for all 4. Okay? So, Rebbe Meir, it's Rebbe Meir. So Rebbe Meir would say if you have the pigul thought, so the way he's reading it is, if the pigul thought came at the end, it's not pigul. If the pigul thought came at the beginning, it is pigul. Who is that? Okay, it can't be the Rabbanan. The Rabbanan say you need pigul at all 4 stages. So it must be Rebbe Meir, and it must be that Rebbe Meir only says his halacha when the pigul thought comes at the beginning, not when it comes in the middle or the end. But if Rebbe Meir was of the opinion of Mefaglin B'Chatzi Matir, who afilu kidiktani nami, so then even if the pigul thought came at the end, anywhere the pigul thought came, it would have made pigul. So lav mishum dekasav, it must be that if this read of the Mishnah is correct, that at the beginning pigul, a pigul thought makes it pigul, at the end it makes it pasul but not pigul. Okay, if that's true, it must be that Rebbe Meir's position is not mefaglin b'chatzi matir, but that a pigul thought at the beginning defines the whole process. And that must be Rebbe Meir's position. So that's how he gets it. By a Mishnah that doesn't even say who it's going like, but based on the way of reading it, the way of reading that order matters, he's going to decide the Mishnah's Rebbe Meir, and it's telling you even for Rebbe Meir, it's only when the pigul comes first. Okay, Let's see what the Gemara says. The Gemara is going to push back on this.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's not going to push back the reason I would. I would have just said, I don't think the Mishnah is implying that order matters. The Mishnah is saying, if you do it okay for 3 and not okay for 1, it's a problem. Okay, it's not telling you, it's saying anything about order. That's not going to be the Gemara. The Gemara is going to buy into his assumption to read the Mishnah that order matters. But let's see how the Gemara is going to read it. Push back. Okay. It's the rabbis. Umay ketiknan lepigul. It just shows you the irony, right? Like the same way that by pigul we say, it has to be meratzeh, everything else has to be done properly or whatever. Right. So we're saying the word ketiknan doesn't mean that you did it the way a korban is supposed to be. We mean you did it satisfying all the requirements of pigul if you wanted to make it into pigul. So ketikna means you did it with a pigul thought. Okay, so it says, it's very bizarre. Okay, so it reads like this. It says, Nasan kulam ketiknan V'achas shelo kitikna or kitiknan.
This is referring to what the chatas apnimi.
This is chatas apnimis. Okay, pasul below pigul. Now, the way he is reading it is okay. The first three were shtika, and then the last one is pigul or whatever. So it's pasul and no pigul. But he says, if it were the reverse, but this is what he reads it. If it were number one was pigul, and the next three were 2 through 4 were shtika, then he would say that would be pigul. Okay, that was his way of reading it. So that has to be Rebbe Meir, and if it's Rebbe Meir, order matters, and that's his read of Rebbe Meir. Okay, that's his way of reading it. The Gemara is saying no. Let's read it the following way. Nazan kulan ketiknan. Ketiknan means nachshavas pigul. The type of doing it the right way if you wanted to make it pigul. Okay, so if you had 1 through 3 with a pigul thought, okay, and then you had number 4 with a shtika, okay, then it's going to be pasul. Why? Because it's the rabbis of ein mefagnim b'chatimati, and you don't have all 4 of them, okay, with that type of a thought. Okay, so let's take a look.
So right, so you're saying that it's pasul according to Tosfot midrabanan, right?
Yeah. Let's not keep on going back to that, but yes. Okay, so the Gemara says like this. Kitiknan lepiko. 1 minute. V'hami diktari lefikach nasan kulan kitiknan v'asan shelo kitiknan pasul ve'ein bo kareit michlal the tikna lechsherahu da'asa. So the Gemara makes it sound like no. The word kitikna makes it sound like kitikna is going to make it better, not kitikna is going to make it worse. It's not exactly clear how it's being medayek that from the grammar of the Mishnah. Certainly, I think we could all admit that is correct. What exactly the diuk is, it's not clear. But anyway, let's see what the Gemara's answer is. Amar Rava, my shelo kitikna chutzlim komo. Okay, so shelo kitikna does not mean shtika. What Rashi basically says is that the phrase shelo kitikna suggests not just the absence of a pigul thought, which is the way you're reading it. The phrase shelo kitikna makes it sound like there's something that's actively bad about this. So if you're reading what's bad is pigul and these means shtika, that's a reading that works. But if you're saying this means pigul, this can't just mean shtika. Shelo kitikna sounds like it's a bad machshava. So the Gemara says, okay, I'll make it a bad machshava. I'll make it a chutzim koma machshava. It still works. Okay, so I'm going to read it the same way, and I'm going to say kitikna means pigul. Shelo kitikna, you're saying it has to mean something bad, not just the absence of something good. Fine, that'll be a chutzim koma thought. But still, I'm going to read it this way. I'm going to read it according to the Rabbanan. And the reason it's pasul is because you don't have pigul by all 4 thoughts. Okay? My shelo kitiknan, chutzim komo, Rav Ashi amar shelo lishmo, another way that it could be bad. Okay? It's chutzim komo, or it's shelo lishmo, because remember, we're talking about a chasas. Okay? But anyway, and therefore, it's pasul and not pigul. But the problem is, if that's how you're reading this phrase, then the reason you would think that it would be pasul is not because that you need pigul by all 4. If this is going to be something actively bad, you'll say that's why it's not pigul. We know by pigul, if you mess up during another stage, you prevent it from being pigul. Mm-hmm. So that's very distracting. The Gemara says, I refuse to read shelo kitikna like it just means shtika. And if it actively means something bad, then it's completely misleading as to what the issue here is. Because for you, the issue is that you don't have pigul by all 4 stages, not that you have something actively bad here. Okay? So the Gemara says that's going to be the Gemara's question. So are you? But no, that makes it sound like that if this was shtika, you'd be chayiv. And according to you, if it's shtika, it's also not pigul because it's not all 4. So the Gemara's answer is, I did tani reisha pigul v'chayav and alav kares tani nama sefer pasul ve'ein bo kares. So you might remember that all of this is by the inner chatos. Right, but by the outer chatos, where one application suffices, right? The halacha is if you did application number 1, if this is the outer chatos, where 1 suffices. If you did 1 with pigul and you did 2 through 4 with chutz lim komo, right? The halacha is pigul because it ends by 1. If you did 1 chutz lim komo and 2 through 4 with pigul, the halacha here is pasul. right? And that's because here it ends with application number 1. So when we get with the outer chatos, we were dealing with chutzin komo. And we were saying, because here actually, right, it's chutzin komo. If it comes first, it's pasul. If it comes later, it's pigul. So that was the form here. Pigul. Some of the thoughts were pigul and some were the chutzin komo thoughts. So when we get up here to the inner chatos, we're also going to talk about pigul and chutzin komo. But enachinami, you're really right. Even if you were to take out the chutzin komo here, this would not be pigul because it was not all 4 parts of the state. Anyway, it is a very dachuk read of the Mishnah to read that ketikna means pigul, shelo ketikna means shkika or chutzin komo. But the point is, I can read this like the Rabbanan, and I don't have to read this like Rebbe Meir. Now, what I would have said is, I could read it like the Rabbanan just by saying that this is not implying order. That this is just saying, ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir. If 3 out of the 4 were done right, and 1 out of the 4 was done incorrect, and I don't care which 1 out of the 4, right? Then ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir, and it's okay. So all of this issue is because we're insisting on reading this as if it's sort of telling us something about the order, which is not the pshat of the Mishnah. Anyway, that's his claim. His claim is that for Rebbe Meir, it's not about ein mefaglim b'chatzi matir. It's about that the pigul thought comes first. So let's just read one more line to get beyond this weird diuk from the Mishnah and get to the Gemara directly dealing with this claim about whether Rebbe Meir holds mefaglim b'chatzi matir or not. Neisvei. So remember, Gloria, when they ask you in Marat what you learned today, you're going to say, I learned whether you're mefaglim b'chatzi matir or ain't mefaglim b'chatzi matir. Okay? And you can have a contest to see who can figure out what that means. Okay, so whether it's mefaglim b'chatzi matir or whether it's kol ha'osel das rishon. Okay, so Meisvei, but medvar mamrim b'domim hanitnim al mizbeach hachitzon. Now, when is this true? Okay, that one application makes pigul by the outer chatas. That the first application makes people because it's all about that first application. Okay, aval top of membez amid aleph the damim anitnin ala mizbeach hapnimi by the inner one kigon arba'im v'shlosha shel Yom Kippurim. Now they did the math for you. There are 43 applications of blood on Yom Kippur. I erased the whole Yom Kippur thing. But how does that work out? Here, because what did you do by Yom Kippur? You did 7 plus 1 on the kaporet. And 7 plus 1 on the parochet, okay, and you did that, so that's 8 plus 8, and you did that times 2, because you did that both for the par and the seir, so that's 16. Then you mix the bloods together, okay, then you mix them all together, and then with one thing, you go ahead and you do 7 on the top of the mizbeach, and 4 on the corners, so that's 11. Wait a minute.
No, you have more than that. You have 32 from the top, because because each of them is times 2. The 7 plus 1 on the kapor times 2.
You have 32.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, and then you have 11, and therefore you have 43 applications of them. Okay. Now, aval damim anitnim al mizbeach hapnimi kigon arba'im v'shlosha shel Yom Kippurim the 11 shapar kohen Mashiach 11 shapar halem davar shel tzibur, what we just got through, the 7 plus the 4 of those. In those cases, since all of them are necessary, pigel bein b'rishono, bein b'shniya, bein b'shlishis, whether you have a pigel in 1 or 2 or 3, any type of any one of those things where all of them are necessary. Rebbe Meir omer pigul v'chayav and alav kares. There you go. You can't be more explicit. You have a pigel thought at any one of those applications. Rebbe Meir says that's enough to create pigul. The chachamim omim ein bo karet ad sheyifagel b'chol hamatir. You have to have pigul with all of the applications of blood, all of those that are necessary. How could you be more explicit that Rebbe Meir is saying mefaglim b'chatzi matir? First of all, the way the Rabbanan express their position is yifagel b'chol hamatir. But number 2 is Rebbe Meir says, so implicitly Rebbe Meir disagrees. But number 2 is that Rebbe Meir says any one of those stages. Okay, so I'll just read you the 1-sentence answer, and we'll pick up with this tomorrow. It's going to be again a real dachuk read. So the Gemara says, upligi, and that's where Rebbe Meir debates and says that it's pigul. Pigul. Okay, anyway, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avin hacha b'mayaskinan kigon shepigel b'shchita d'chad matir. So what he is saying is when it says you have pigul at any stage here, this is such a dachuk read. What it means is, let's say in the middle of all this stuff of Yom Kippur, you did all these things, and then and then the blood spill. Okay, so what do you have to do? So according to one opinion, shecht a new cow, get new blood, and continue where you left off, or shecht a new goat. So what he's saying is, if pigul at any one of these stages you make pigul, what it means is no. It was a scenario where you had to do a new shchita, and at that new shchita, that's when you had a pigul thought, and that's why you made pigul in the middle, because that was an entire matir, which is like what? Like, first of all, if that's really true, would the rabbis really disagree? Because then you really were mefaga b'chol hamatir, and like that is such a crazy read of the case. Rabbi Meir is talking about any of the applications of blood makes pigul. So we will continue with that dachuk answer tomorrow. But clearly, this Breita seems to make very clear that for Rabbi Meir, mefaglin b'chatzi matir, it doesn't matter what stage, any one of the applications can make pigul.
We still persist.
But we still persist.
I mean, Rabbi Meir is sounding. Well, I mean.